Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Hocus Pocus 2024. Hocus Pocus is one of my favorite films, and I was just blessed to see it in the theaters using my Regal Pass, which is I cannot say speak highly enough about the Regal Pass. I really really like it. And what's really fascinating as we look, and so what's really wild to me is that Hocus Pocus is braided closer to Dungeons and Dragons every single year. So let's take a look at Hocus Pocus 2024 from a dungeon master's perspective and see where it connects to Dungeons and Dragons more than it did a year ago. So first of all, I saw it for spook. So I'm an evangelical Christian. I don't celebrate Halloween. In fact, we literally board up the house and go out for dinner that night to escape the Halloween rabble. um, and so um, but I do enjoy spooky season. I get where people are coming from. Fall, the leaves are starting to die, and winter is on its way, and it is a very interesting season. I also am a fan of horror films, and I actually think and I think one of the reasons why I love Hocus Pocus so much is it is a horror classic, right? But what's really fascinating about Hocus Pocus is what's really unique about it is it's a classic hit that keeps on playing on the big screen, right? So one, I went to see this on the big screen on October 28th, right? And I'm sorry, October 27th. And it was like a third full. A third of the theater was filled, which is astonishing for a movie that is 31 years old, right? So how does that connect to Dungeons and Dragons? Well, the reality is we have lots of horror movies, but only a few of them are celebrated with a return to the big screen. And it's the same thing with Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons has lots of settings. It has lots of modules. It has lots of adventures, but only a select few are brought back to be celebrated again, right? Dragonlance, worthy. Dark Sun, nothing. You lose, sir. You lose, right? Like Dark Sun is not coming back, right? And there's a reason for that, and there's multiple reasons for that. But I think one of the reasons why Hocus Pocus has been so persistent and has been so celebrated again and again is there's nothing like it. It is a horror movie that has the perfect amount of whimsy. What? Horror and whimsy? And man, is it true. So it's really the Winifred sisters. It's this amazing performance by, of the Winifred sisters. Winifred, of the Winifreds, yeah. It's Winifred, Mary, and Sarah, and they are the Sanderson sisters, right? And there is just this performance of whimsy that is very much mixed with horror, right? Like the three of the sisters love each other in this very chaotic, malfunctioning way, but their love for one another is very genuine. Every single one of the Sanderson sisters is absolutely critical. Winifred actually has real power. Sarah actually is not repugnant to the world. And then Mary is important for pulling the sisters together. She has this calming circle, right? And so, and they really, and the way they walk together, the way they fight together, it's very whimsical. There's just no other way to explain it. But the whole film is a straight up horror film, right? Continuously throughout the film, they're saying these witches eat children. Like you're like it's a very legit, genuine horror film. And at the same time, it can be watched by both children and it can be watched by adults. And it lives in this special space of horror and whimsy. And it is truly a classic, right? So here's what's wild In 2023, when I went to see this movie, it was already connected to Dungeons and Dragons. Its connections to them were much weaker than it is now, right? So how was Hocus Pocus connected to Dungeons and Dragons when I saw Hocus Pocus 2023, which was the 30th anniversary celebration? Well, it was already connected to Dungeons and Dragons through Funko Pops. In 2023, Funko Pops had official Dungeons and Dragons miniatures of Dritz Jordan and quite a few of his friends. They also had official miniatures of all of the Sanderson sisters and most of the major characters within Hocus Pocus, right? So they were already, and if you're not aware, there are multiple companies that have officially connected themselves to Dungeons and Dragons through terrain and miniature, and Funko Pop is one of the ones that has done that. It's made Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, and it's made a whole huge array of a multiverse of characters that connect to Dungeons and Dragons, as official miniatures at exactly the same scale that Dritz Jordan was creating, right? All right, but in 2024, Hocus Pocus is canonically connected, right? Purely canonically connected to Dungeons and Dragons through Lego Dungeons and Dragons. So officially, Lego Dungeons and Dragons is a very real thing, fully acknowledged officially by Lego, fully officially acknowledged by Dungeons and Dragons. Lego Dungeons and Dragons. And the Sanderson sisters, their entire museum that's dedicated to them, all of the Sanderson sisters, Binks the cat, and many of the other characters in Hocus Pocus are canonically connected to Dungeons and Dragons, and their house and all of their minifigures are made at exactly the exact scale to use in Dungeons and Dragons when you're using official Lego Dungeons and Dragons minifigures. The Red Dragon's Tail set and the entire Lego collectible minifigure set. So they are canonically, and that tightening of the braid, that far more official connection, is truly historic, right? So the other thing that's very nice is we also now have Hocus Pocus 2. I know there's a lot of people who don't enjoy it as much as the first one. I love it. I really think it's fantastic. I really enjoy it, and I'm hoping that they will start to bring Hocus Pocus 2 to the big screen as well. And I think that would really be nice, maybe for a double feature, or I'd honestly be okay with them not, screening Hocus Pocus, although that has become a major spooky season tradition. I think a lot of people there were coming to watch this movie as part of their spooky season tradition, which is very, very interesting. So it is really cool. The Winifred sisters are some of my favorite characters in all of narrative, and I am a huge fan of Hocus Pocus. I see it every year. I'm also fortunate to have, Disney Plus right now, and so I can stream it. But the reality is I don't stream it much. I really love the fact that it is on the big screen and that I can watch it there. And I also want to tell you, this is going to continue to happen more and more and more, where a property is already connected to Dungeons and Dragons, but it threads tighter through other intellectual property connections. And I will tell you right now, I know this, right? It is happening in ways that no one is really paying attention to. I'm convinced I'm the only person on this planet who's actually paying very close attention to what's actually happening on Dungeons and Dragons canon. So, Winifred, Mary, Sarah, all official Dungeons and Dragons characters, in my humble opinion, and super epic, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more and nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.